Hey guys, in this video we're going to go over an example for explicit intents. So here, as you can see, that in the main activity, activity A, the user can type some stuff in this field, and when the user clicks on the send button, it's going to take that text and the user to a different activity on the right side, as you can see. So we're going to start off with a new Android Studio project, and in the main activity.xml we are going to start off with a linear layout with the orientation of vertical. So we are going to need two activities. So we already have the first one, main activity, and we are going to create a new second activity right now. I'm going to name it receiver activity. You can name it whatever you want, and I'm going to hit OK. So this is going to extend app compat activity. Now app compat in turns extends from the activity class. So we're gonna have an onCreate method, so which is going to set the layout for the receiver activity. So we're gonna have to use setContentView method, and this is going to take a layout file as the input parameter. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to res layout, right click on it, new layout resource file, and I'm going to name it receiver underscore activity, and the root element is going to be a linear layout. So I'm going to hit OK. So I'm going to go back to receiver activity.java and type in r.layout.receiver activity. So this is going to set the user interface for the receiver activity. I'm gonna go back to activity main.xml, and we are going to start off with a text view. The width is going to be wrap content, height is going to be wrap content as well. Text size is going to be 33 sp, and the text is going to be activity A. Now, I wouldn't recommend you to hard string this text. I would recommend you to save these string values in strings.xml file, but for now I'm going to hardcode the text. So I'm going to set the layout gravity to be center horizontal, and then I'm going to go down and create a linear layout, and the width to be match parent, height to be match parent as well. And inside this linear layout, we are going to have an edit text element. The width is going to be match parent, the height is going to be wrap content, and let's see, let's have a hint here, and I'm going to say type something. We are going to create a button. The width is going to be wrap content, height is going to be wrap content as well, and the text of that button is going to be send. For this linear layout, I'm going to set the orientation to be horizontal. Now I'm going to set the weight value of edit text to be 1. So I'm going to set the layout gravity of edit text to be bottom, and I'm going to do the same for the button as well. And now we are gonna need an onClick attribute for button. So onClick attribute is going to define what happens when you click on the button. So the value of this onClick is going to be the name of a method that we're going to create in the main activity.java file. And we are going to assign an ID to the button. It's going to be button 1 or anything you like, and we are going to assign an ID for edit text as well, because we are going to reference the button and edit text in main activity.java file. So I'm going to go to receiver activity.xml and create two new text views here. So text view, wrap content, and the text is going to be this is a receiver activity, and I'm gonna set the size of it to be 33 sp, and now I'm gonna set padding for the linear layout to be about 10 dips. And now I'm gonna create another text view, set the width to be wrap content, height to be wrap content as well, and I'm going to create an ID for it, and I'm going to name it text1. Now we're not going to set the text in XML. Instead, we'll set the text in a receiver activity.java file. So let's go back to main activity.java and create two new objects. The first one is going to be a button object. The second one is going to be an edit text object. Now in the onCreate method, we are going to bring in button and edit text from XML into Java using find view by ID. So I'm going to say button equals find view by ID, and I'm going to say r.id.button1. Okay. So it says incompatible types. It found a view, but it requires a button. So we are going to press Alt Enter, and we're going to cast it to a button object. So we're going to convert the view object into a button object. And now we're going to do the same for the edit text. And now we are going to create a void method, public void, and we're going to name it sender. And this is going to take an input parameter of view object. So I'm going to say view. Now I'm going to go back to activity main.xml, and for this button, Android onClick, I'm going to type in sender. So I'm going to go back to main activity.java file, and we are going to get the text that the user types from edit text. We're going to say edit text.get text. We're going to convert this text into a string, and we're going to store what the user types to a string variable. So I'm going to say string message equals edit text.get text, which is going to get whatever the user types, and it's going to convert into a string, and it's going to store that message in a string variable. So now I'm going to create a new intent object. Intent I equals new intent, and it's going to have two input parameters. The first one is going to be context, where you are right now, which is this class, which is main activity.java class. So I'm going to say this for the first input parameter. And for the second one, I'm going to type in activity that's going to receive the intent, which is receiver activity. Now you can't just say receiver activity. You need a .class notation at the end, or else you'll get an error. And now we're going to set the data, i.setData. So since it's going to take a data in form of URI, we are going to say URI.parse message here. It's going to take a string object. And now we're going to start the activity. It's going to take an intent object. Now we're going to go to receiver activity. We need to create a new text view object, which is text. And I am going to bring in the text view from XML into Java using find view by ID. And it's going to have r.id.text1. And again, we are going to cast this find view by ID into a text view. And now I'm gonna create a new get intent object. So I'm gonna say intent I equals get intent, and now we're gonna get the data. So I'm gonna say I.get data string, which is going to get the data in form of string. So now I'm gonna store this data into a string object. So I'm gonna say string received message equals I.getDataString, and I'm going to set the text of that text view to be this received message. So now let's run this app on our phones. Okay, so let's type something in, hello world, and if I send, then the app crashes. Well, it crashed because we didn't declare the receiving activity in the manifest file. So if I go to manifest file, that the only activity that's declared is the main activity. The receiver activity is not declared, so that's why Android OS can't see that activity. So I'm going to create a new activity element, and I'm going to name it receiver activity. And let's run this app again. Let's type something in. And as you can see that it works. Now let's go back to receiver activity.xml file and let's actually set the text size to be 33 SP, and this should hopefully fix the size issue. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to follow the written article over at androidify.com. Feel free to follow me on social media. The links will be in the description. Please subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm Gurinder Singh from Androidify, and I'm committed to helping you guys along the way.